going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Art Friends interview, and this time we have two very special guests, Brim and Viktor, and they both work at, I'm going to butcher this now, Myrkur Studios in Iceland, which is very, very interesting. I don't hear about many Icelandic video game studios, so it'll be interesting to pick your guys' brain and kind of see what you think about working there. And as you guys had mentioned before, you guys are both kind of new to working professionally in the industry, so it'll be cool to kind of hear your transition from student to professional. So before we dive into art stuff, let's dive into a fun question. So I have a question for both you guys. If you could be in any video game world, what would it be?
You're going to be Sims.
No, I don't want to die in the pool. I don't want to do that. Like I knew you guys would come up with this question. Yesterday I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I want to say Uncharted, but it's kind of like
just normal world,
more
exciting.
But like I want to imagine that I can climb and break everything.
Nice.
So I just want to do that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, like I've been playing a lot of Bloodborne.
Oh,
so
okay.
Definitely not there.
Not Bloodborne.
No, I guess I would like to live in Sims because like they have infinite money cheats, and that just sounds like a pleasure.
There you go. I think those are both good answers. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna I think Oliver knows you guys a little bit better, so I'm gonna kind of let him start with the questions. But I just want to first ask you guys, just briefly, how did this go? How did you guys transition from student to getting this job? Like, what's just your general path that you took to get to where you are?
So, like from the beginning, or just from student to
from student to professional.
Okay, you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. So, I studied at Valencia in Spain. I had a master's degree there in Berkeley. So there's a US school called Berkeley College of Music, which has a outpost in Valencia. Mm-hmm. And I studied my master's degree there for scoring for film, video games, and television.
Nice.
And then I just went on for a year and a half after that, I was just doing freelancing work and doing some trailer work for and audio libraries. Mm-hmm. But during my studies in Valencia, I was on Facebook and saw some footage of this new video game studio in Iceland, Myrkur Games. I'm like, wait, what? A new studio in Iceland? I knew of one. But so I checked them out and said okay, hey, I do audio stuff. Would you like me to do some music for you? And they sent back no, we're not really looking for that. Try us again in a year.
Okay.
So I came so half a year passed, and I visited the studio just hey, I want to see what you're doing.
Sure.
Made some acquaintances, and then a couple years, I moved to the UK where you started your studies.
Yeah, because I was studying.
Okay. And I went back Christmas from that first year. I'm like, okay, I know what I'm gonna do. Year is almost coming up, so I'm gonna make them a pitch. I'm gonna make a musical suite. I hit up some local artist called Sigurbode, who plays a lot of Viking-esque instruments and old-fashioned things. I'm like, okay, we're gonna make a 7-minute suite out of the themes of the character I know exist in this company.
Nice. Okay.
And so I also sent them made some implementation. I want to use, this is how I want to do if you're in combat and they're doing action and if they're doing stealth. So I wrapped this all in a package and sent them, and yeah, the rest is kind of history. Although they gave me a shock. The guy, my contact called Dade, the director, he was like, well, you know what I didn't like about it? And I was like,
you're like, uh-oh.
I was like, no, nothing really. It was actually great.
Awesome. So I want to take a step back though. So when you first looked into the company, how far along were they? How long had they been in existence?
They were. So the company itself has a rather weird story as well. They started out as a VR company.
Okay.
I think 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
I think. So like where they wanted to use like what was it, like the Xbox camera or something?
It was so technical. I
Like
was like,
to help track full body motions with VR. So it's
Okay.
like, and then somebody like I think their mentor at the time just came up to him and was like, yeah, this is a cool idea.
Mhm.
Do you know how big your market is? And they're like, oh shit.
yeah.
Like I don't know, a couple of people at most. Like, and then they decided like, I think we should just make a video game.
Yeah, it was quite interesting because like when you started to talk to him, because we were together when like we've been together for 5 years.
Okay.
So when he started to talk to them, I always had them on my radar.
Okay.
So like when he sent the suite, he actually asked me to do little doodles of the scenarios.
Yeah, like
That's
hiding
smart.
stealth music.
Yeah. So it was basically he sent the suite. I had my name on it because I had like little drawings, and then
Yeah, they asked me like, "Hey, who made these doodles? Like, and who like they're cool."
and it was like, it's me. It's
So
me.
you guys kind of had like a dual pitch almost.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was more like I was sneaking my way into it because I was like before when he started talking to them like years before, I felt like I was like, oh no, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm still like small inside. I'm a small artist. Wow.
Yeah.
I hadn't even gone to Canada to school, so. But at that time when I was in the UK, I was like, all right, I can make at least something to just let them know that I exist. But I didn't really expect them to want to talk to me and see what happened. And then they asked me like, oh, you want to try to do this thing? Like make some character designs and everything. I was like, yeah, cool. I can do that.
That's awesome.
Came the idea like I decided like I wanted to move back to Iceland to work for them full time, and then but
yeah,
we're still studying. So then it can like, is there like a way we can make this work somehow?
And I was like, can I have a job? Can I intern at your company?
So wait, Viktor, are you from Iceland? Is that how this is all connecting?
Yeah,
you're both from there. Okay, okay. This is making a lot more sense. I didn't know this to begin with.
So like, we're both from Iceland, and then we like went to a couple of countries to study in the meantime before coming back to work for this company, the Myrkur.
Yeah.
So did you guys start dating when you were both living in Iceland? Is that like Okay, I see.
Because, like basically our relationship started with he wanted to do music, I wanted to draw for video games. We were like, we're not gonna let this relationship stop our work.
Yeah.
Because we knew that we were gonna go to different countries to school.
Sure.
But then,
as fate would have it, we're suddenly in the same company.
That's really cool. That's a really cool story.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been working there now?
Since like on location since May, like for almost a year now, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh, June. June. But I had been working like since February of last year, just remotely, just making.
Yeah, because you were still in the UK with me. Yeah. Because I was studying.
So while you were studying, I was locked up in my room with my like microphones and guitars and everything.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, how far along is this project? Are you allowed to talk much about it, or?
Yeah, like we're currently like. We've done a couple of demos, so currently we're like we're in like the, is it called the penultimate stage? Like we're raising funds for like half of the game's progress.
Okay.
So, and then like, how do we say it? Yeah, like we made like a couple of demos which we have sent to investors, and we're currently just in the midst. Actually, like we were in the midst of funding when the virus hits.
Yeah.
I see.
So
that's like everything's going a bit slower now because people are treading lightly on like what to do. But yeah, that's currently our status. So we're working less because of like the virus, but we're expecting to pick up pace probably like next month as the restrictions of like social distancing like restricted, like they had like loosened yesterday actually.
So it's all getting back together, hopefully.
Nice.
Hopefully.
So we have a comment really quick.
That's actually a question.
From Technomania says, I take credit for their relationship. Hi, guys. Illy.
Yeah,
That's our friend.
that's my friend.
She's a mutual friend. She was really excited for this stream.
That's awesome.
So like I wouldn't put it past her to like ask us to come to dinner, because that's a running thing apparently.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Cool. So I'll hand this over to Oliver now. I know you had some questions for them.
Yeah. It's really great to have you guys on. I was just really, I really love to ask you about your Brim, especially your experience in Canada, because like you mentioned, you studied in Canada before. So, Sin Studio, correct?
Yes, I was in Sin Studio in a program that was called like Full Intensive Portfolio Prep, basically. So it's basically you're taking just a lot of classes there. It's not like a diploma or a bachelor or anything. It's just open for everyone. So I decided to, what?
Oh, really quick. I actually visited Sin Studio for the, what is the master class summer thing that they do?
Master, they have like every year, I think, like so many artists come together and they have like a talk and everyone can like, get a ticket and see.
Yeah, I did that with my friend Derek a couple of years ago, and I got to like explore the school and talk to some of the teachers and stuff, and like it's a really awesome place. Like it's way different from the education process that I got. Like it's a lot more intensive and a lot more knowledgeable people are there. So if anybody's interested in going to art school, I definitely recommend at least looking into that. So.
It was an amazing experience being there. Like I had met so many people. Like I have friends that I still talk to today, even though it's like technically been 2 years since I was there. And it was just like they taught me how to like work fast and don't be that like work can't always be perfect. It's basically because they had like when you go there, you go every week for every class, and then you have for the next class you have to have something in, so you only have a week to do stuff, and you have like 5 other classes, and it could be like a whole illustration that you have to have kind of finished.
Sure.
So they kind of just gave you that mentality to just put stuff out there, just do it basically.
That's probably also like the most important part of just like of working, especially like in the art industry, is just delivering.
That's interesting. Because I obviously it's like I'm quite familiar with Sin Studio because I was actually planning to go there. I actually went to Vancouver instead. So it's funny because a lot of my friends that were in Vancouver actually went to Sin as well. So it's just like learning about how they do stuff differently. That's cool though. Yeah.
Can we talk briefly about your guys' connection too? Because I don't think the audience quite knows.
Oh yeah,
that you guys met.
Yeah, me and Oliver met in Teesside University, so we were there last year, right? Yes, last year. Like the years and the days are so mixed up.
You were in the UK like a year ago.
Yeah, like a year ago.
That's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. But I actually also like I'm interested because I only found out today, Victor, that you said you studied in Valencia as well. So that's amazing because like I really love the city. Like my family has a home there. Like
Really?
Oh wow.
Yeah. How was your experience like in Valencia? Because I really love the city.
Like Valencia was fantastic actually.
Yeah.
Really warm.
Really warm. A bit of like Spanish bureaucracy getting like to actually have everything like have every permit and so.
Yeah.
And, like, they did the fun thing of changing like the requirements halfway through the process. That was fun. But the best thing about Valencia is like the biking culture. It's just like I love biking, and also like it's just amazing how like this place has grown since 2000 or something.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, because I there's a lot of for me when I went there, there's a lot of art and like quite a lot of nice museums there as well. Did you guys manage to like kind of tour around while you were there? Yeah.
Like there's like the city in the middle. My school was located in like that complex, like with the opera house, with the like science museum and everything. So it was like all in like just like 5 minutes walking distance from each other. So we spent actually quite a lot of time in like touring the museums and the garden on that park that used to be this riverbed.
Yeah, because I came to visit you because you were still there during the summer when I was done at Sin Studio. So I went there for like 2 months, and I was like, I used to just stay in the park drawing the houses and everything because there's so interesting architecture there, and it's like totally different from what I'm used to here in Iceland, because it's like, you know, I'm used to mountains and, you know, no trees or anything, and there it's like, oh, it's a flat land, great architecture. I'm like, wow, that's
and also being able to go to the beach in January, that was weird.
Yeah, that's a yeah. They have some really nice beaches in Valencia for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite thing is the paellas. Did you guys get to try?
Oh yes, I miss it so much. The paella, like the rice thing.
Oh yeah.
I remember like we once toured with a couple of friends, like a bit out to the countryside of Valencia, like to the origin play, like the origin of paella. Like
That's
had
awesome.
like the authentic thing.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
So kind of backtracking to more of the kind of art side. So do you feel like a lot of your experiences there has influenced what you do now currently? Like your has like
your past experience, has it like influenced your art in any way, like your time in Valencia or your time in Canada or UK or whatever?
Yeah, so like probably it's weird regarding the music, because probably like the biggest influencer actually of like how I write music is I did a bachelor's degree back in Iceland in just composition, but it was like contemporary composition, and I didn't want to be a contemporary composer. I wanted to be a film composer.
Sure.
I want to write for music, like for movies.
Yeah.
But then like I was kind of like, in this program we studied like all these 20th century like contemporary composers, like 12-tone music and all this, and that kind of like accidentally influenced like how I wrote, because before that was kind of all just it's just like was like I had this basic idea. I came from like a rock band, so like that's just how music should be. But they kind of like open up. So that's probably like the biggest influencer, aside from John Powell, the film composer who did How to Train Your Dragon and all that.
Nice.
Yeah. For me, like especially because before I went to Sin Studio, I didn't like know many people that did art. Like I had few friends that I doodle with, and I didn't study any art things technically before that. I was just at school doing my thing, and then I went to Canada and I got this different experience of being around other people that had worked in the industry, had like this. It was kind of realizing that everything was real, because I've only heard about people talking about it on the internet, like, oh, you can work at a game company, wow. And so it's kind of like when I went there, I got the experience of just being like, yes, this is a thing that you can work, and like, and I got to, you know, like I said, like learn how to work fast, learn how to, you know, critique your work and not be shy about it. Because I remember in the first class, they told us before the class, they were like, oh, can you put some of your artwork on this website? And we're like, yeah, sure. And then we would put up. And then in the first class, they were just critiquing everything in front of everyone. So it's kind of like, okay, we're doing that. Yeah. So it's kind of just, you know, when I started to work at Myrkur, I kind of knew that was the experience that I would be having, that everyone was gonna see my work and critique it, and it was not like they were gonna be mean about it. It was just like, you need to fix this and fix that because that needs to work. But the thing is that I didn't know about when I went to Myrkur is just like working with you know, the 3D artists and everything like that. That's a whole different thing that you can't really learn even like before, because you kind of just have to do it. It's like this communication between the people in the company.
You're like the second person in the pipeline, so it's like the
Yeah.
writer, then it's you, and then it's off to the 3D artist.
Yeah.
So do you have other concept artists that are working with you, or are you like the
No.
only concept artist?
I'm the only concept artist.
Oh wow, that's a
which is
big
quite
responsibility.
interesting. I know. That's why I was like, can I intern there? And they were like, yeah, we don't really have a concept artist, but you can come and we can try to figure this out, because like I've already met a few of them.
Okay.
And like, because it's a small company, they didn't even know that even if they would have a concept artist for the game, because like they had to cut out, like they can't have like 100 people working.
Sure.
So like,
let me ask though. So like you go on the website and you see these two characters. Like, did you concept these, or did some modeler just go in and start designing these guys?
I checked on the website now.
No, so I know what you're talking. Like one is the main character. Rin, the lady, and the other one is the older man called Abram.
Yeah.
I designed the sword for the main character.
Oh, that's sick. That's awesome.
And then the guy, the Abram, the character next to her, that's a character that they told me to like test. I was designing for that character when I was still at T-side, like in class, just doodling.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this old man, he could be like this.
Yeah, and you also like.
And it ended up like this character. So
you design also like the arm thingy, like the brace thing.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
I got this quite fun experience that I can't remember the program.
Substance Painter?
Yeah, I drew on the 3D model the markings on her face that she has, and like on the hand and stuff. So like I'm trying a lot of new things there.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I wanted to ask too, because you were talking about working with 3D modelers. Like, so are you finding yourself like having to really adapt to like new styles or new like new programs? It sounds like you are. But yeah, basically, are you having to like adapt from what you were learning at school to the studio?
It's not like I don't really have to change style. It's just more like getting this realistic feel, which like photo bashing is kind of new that I need to work on. And I've been working on now when we are like working at home. That's the thing that I've been doing the past month. It's just photo bashing stuff, which is interesting because I've never done that really before. But the main thing for me was quite interesting, because when you get this idea of like, oh, I want to be a concept artist, everything has to be like completely finished. But when I got to the studio and I started working with the team, you kind of have to have this trust between people, because sometimes I need to give the 3D artist something that is not completely finished, and be sure that he understands the design elements that needs to be there, the rules that we have talked about in the meetings before, that I can trust that, send it to him and he can like polish it basically, because I'm the only concept artist and I have stuff that I need to do. So sometimes it's like, here is a drawing and you can understand it, and but it's not like this art station like complete finish with the dramatic lighting and everything. So it's more that you have heard like people talk about that before when they're like working in a studio, that concept art isn't really pretty unless it's like everything is done and you can't get like finish everything. But it was just weird to experience it, because you don't really get that feeling at school, because you're only just doing your work.
Yeah, your teacher is never gonna tell you to like give them something half finished. So
yeah, basically.
Right. I mean, like 20 quick sketches of this sword. Can you have it? Like...
Yeah, like especially because sometimes I have to, have like few shapes, and he will make it in 3D, and we see if it works out for the model, and then it get back to me, and I would, draw over it. So it's basically back and forth sometimes, because it like, because we're so small, we just kind of have to be like this. We have to work together.
So do you have an art director? Do we establish this too? Do you have an art director as well, or
yes, yes. The art director is also the environment artist. So like, she makes all the what's it called? Like, she
is like head of like what? Assets.
Assets.
Yeah, like,
that's the word.
Okay.
She makes the assets for the game as well. So that's also the thing. Like I have a meeting with her, and we can like talk about what we want to do, and then I just get to drawing and I show it to her, and she's, you know, it's this back and forth basically.
Gotcha.
But basically because she's also the environment artist, so it's kind of, you know, you have to trust everyone, that everyone is doing the work basically.
It's the curse of a small company.
Yeah, everybody has to wear many hats.
Yeah,
the title
basically.
is like so many lines.
Yeah, like especially because I remember I think I was there for like 1.5 months, and then they were like, "Oh, do you want to make the UI?" And I was like, "What?" And I'm like, and then I was like, I spent a whole day just looking at UIs for different games, and I was trying to figure out like, would this work? Would this work? Like, and it's so many different things that you don't really think about, you know, because you're just like, I'm just gonna draw beautiful people. Wow.
I feel like that's the best kind of experience though, is getting thrown into a situation where you like have to do different kinds of art that you wouldn't normally do, because now you can say you did it, and you know, from here on out, any other experience you have, you're like, oh yeah, I can do a UI, I can paint over a 3D model, I can do this, you know.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And it just goes to show too, for artists that are looking to get into the industry, that like, yeah, you should like try to focus on something, but you know, don't close off other aspects of art, because you might get a job where you have to do multiple things, you know. So
like, especially if you're like applying for small companies, because that's basically just the reality of it. It's just like, you know, everyone has to be open to try new things. So
I feel like that's probably the main difference between like small video game companies and big video game companies, because like if you're going into like a small company, you're expected to do everything, and if you're going into a big company, they just want that one thing from you, and you're gonna do it well. We have people for the other jobs, basically.
That's interesting, because just very quickly, because you mentioned that you do a lot of like transition between 3D and 2D. Do you ever like start with, when it comes to your design process, do you ever like start with like Maya or ZBrush or that kind of thing during?
Well, usually we like, it's usually not me that starts with it, because like also like with environments, the level designer will have like white box of the level,
a block out of basic functions inside a game.
Yeah, so it's basically like he already has, you know, the space and the area that he designed, and they had like a meeting about. So basically I will walk around the level and he will tell me what he's been thinking, and I'll be like, okay, this will be cool there, this will be cool there, and then I can get screenshots, and then I basically just draw over it. So I already have the base technically, because usually like if he has a house there, it looks like a kind of like a house, you know what I mean? And so, and like
go on. I was just gonna say, I'm kind of fascinated because you mentioned that the company started off as a VR. So is there some way of implementing that kind of VR within the work, like as you're concepting, or is it more?
Well, not in this game.
Actually, we're actually using VR in a weird sense.
Are we?
Yes, recording the cutscenes.
Oh yes.
We're using basically what's called magic. No. No. So we have like this motion capture studio.
Yeah.
And like I think it was around Christmas time that like the CEO and the director like had like this idea, like, can we do like, I think it was like Toy Story, like the newest one that had like virtual cameras in like 3D space. So
it was Lion King.
Right. Okay. They like mounted, so like the director mounted like an iPad onto like and put like markers on it, so the computer, like the motion rig, would track it, and then he could like see into the game world through the iPad. So he could track like the 3D action of the game. Like, so if we had a cutscene that we've already tracked like with actors, he could then walk in real time, like alongside them with his like iPad camera, which is basically magic.
So are you guys doing that too then?
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
We're doing all the motion capturing and like that tracking in house.
That's really cool.
Well, not us specifically.
Well, not me.
But the studio.
Yeah, the studio. Yes, that's the hook of the studio, basically. That we were the only Icelandic studio that had a mocap for video games, because you know.
So that kind of leads me to a question quickly too. Like I don't know how much you guys are allowed to talk about this, but like how is the studio being funded? Are you guys getting some sort of government grant then, or is the CEO just kind of funding the project?
No, actually, so like up until when we started out, when we started the company, we were running on like the company was kind of running on what was called like what's a new company called? Like when is that?
Like a startup?
Company?
Startup?
Yeah, like we were running on like
yes.
funding from like startup funds a bit,
Mm-hmm.
but then like just like I think it was like last August, we had like an investment round, so we're
Okay.
actually running on
investments. Yeah.
I see.
like proper.
So it's kind of like the company is kind of transitioning from a startup to actually a company.
Gotcha.
Which is quite interesting. Is like you
Like-
know be a part of this
Yeah.
business aspect of it as well. And it's kind of like, oh wow.
Yeah, we started like when it was a startup. It still kind of is a startup, but it meanwhile to something that's not just purely running on grant money. If that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Interesting. That's cool because also that means when you have investors, you have a little bit more. Like we were kind of talking about somebody looking over your shoulder, so to speak, because
Yeah.
they want a return. So it kind of means that you guys really need to kind of narrow down on the vision of the game. So has that changed your guys' workflow at all, or has it been still kind of like business as usual?
Actually, currently kind of like we're in the process of like we're in process of like the future in future funding. So like
Gotcha.
we're receiving like a bunch of like comments. Like this is like the crucial point. Like when people come back, it's like, could you like we like what you have? Could you maybe fix this thing? And we like have and then we have a conversation and then like forth and forth. So that's kind of like the status now is we're just like responding to feedback that the investors have.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's like it's quite interesting to see everything how it works because like especially for me I'm not used to the business aspect of
No, we're leaving the CEO and the COO for that.
Yeah.
They used to be super active in like programming and like design, but now they're just answering emails day in and day out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that.
When you say that's you just hit the points for me as well because you mentioned about working as a team and like the business aspect. I feel that's something that students are kind of missing from university a bit. Like I know you haven't finished your final year, but like is that something you like want to see more? Like more art side business in the
Yes.
Like for me I feel like just people need to realize when, like, especially they want to work in the entertainment industry, like in video games and movies and whatever, it's a business as well. You can't just draw whatever. Like you have to think of, you know, what are the people that are gonna, you know, play the game? Like what are people expecting from your work? So it's basically just to keep that in mind because like there's a lot of artists that go to art school and they just like, oh no, I just want to draw my anime character. And it doesn't work. It's like no, unless you want to make an anime game, but it's not a big thing that you can do. It's like
Also regarding music, there used to be this weird taboo. I don't know if it like persisted, but like when I was starting out, like I said, I want to be a film composer. But people like were super reluctant in trying to make anything that was like in it for the money.
Yeah.
Like people were so afraid of like that they were selling out or something. Like, no, I want to write music for me, not for corporate. And I was like,
it's like that's not how it works.
Like if you want to,
you need to live.
Like if you don't live as an artist, it's kind of like the mindset you have to go through, and unless your hobby music is what people want and pay for.
If you're lucky about that, but it's more like you just have to make that decision when you love something that you do you want that to be a hobby or do you want that to be your job? Because it can't really, you know, it can't be a hobby and get paid for really. Is you have to work. So you know.
So bouncing off that, I have a question for Viktor. So you had mentioned quickly when you got out of school, out of your master's degree, you were doing some freelance stuff. Did you work on any larger scale projects or was it all just kind of like smaller client stuff?
So like most of them were smaller clients, except for one client that's. I'm not sure client is a correct word, because I used to work for like write for what's it called? It's an audio library called Annihilation, which is a subsidiary of something called Pitchhammer Music,
Okay.
which is a like trailer music house
Okay.
that writes for like trailers for like the blockbuster films you see
Sure.
today, like from Aladdin to Harry Potter films to yada yada. So like I happened to like meet the guy who owns that and runs that company back in doing my bachelor's degree, and so I kind of like, and he was using the same programs as I did, so I like invited myself for coffee, and then like one day he calls me and like, hey, something's wrong with my PC. You know PC? Can you come and fix it? And like from that day on, like became his like composer's assistant throughout like for like the last almost 6 years.
Oh wow.
But like on and off. So like I come to the country, do some bug fixing. Said like me one day like, hey, I see your music has been improving. Do you want to write like for some of our like libraries? So
that's
so
awesome.
I did some of that. But probably like the biggest thing is like I helped with I was doing some editing on the recording of the trailer for Ready Player One. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
So that was like probably like the biggest word thing. Like it has the most meaning behind it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Like corporate.
So I have another question for you in regards to the studio you're working at now. So first of all, are you the only composer?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, the whole audio department are 2 people.
Okay.
and a girl called Helga.
Okay. So that's what I want to ask too. Are you doing the sound effects for the whole game as well, or is Helga doing those?
So this started. I was hired as a composer,
Okay.
and then like a month in, I noticed you guys haven't like done anything like particular for like the rest of the audio.
Uh-huh.
Like, do you want help? And I was like, yeah, please do.
Yeah.
But that's where like I became kind of a student again, because like I know how to make music and how to implement music, but I had no idea what to do with ambiances or sound effects or like dialogue recording. Well, except for just like recording vocals. So that's kind of what I started. At the same time, though, I was lucky that like there was not an intern per se, but like a summer job, like a school project that when Helga, with the current sound designer, was working on. So she like joined me on this quest to make sound for this video game and like figuring out how to do it. And then she got hired right after her project. So yeah, so I'm like the audio director currently, audio director and composer, and she does most of the sound design.
Gotcha.
And then we're just and I record most of like the dialogue for and mix it and edit it and put it in Engine.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask too. So my company recently implemented Fmod into our project, and we're like trying to figure that all out and trying to work with our musician to get the music in and stuff like that. So are you having to learn that stuff as well, like the Engine stuff and how to implement, or are your programmers handling that? Yeah,
so it's kind of like I'm using Wise currently as the middleware, like Fmod and Wise. So like I know both of them, but I just thought like Wise would fit better for this project.
Sure.
So so I like take care of like most of things that go on in Wise. The programmers don't want to really touch it.
Okay. Gotcha.
But like everything that's like going into like Unreal Engine, the actual like engine itself, is mostly like either like directly through the programmers, or I ask them to make tools for me to use.
Okay. Gotcha.
So like so I ask them like, hey, I want to like if there's a sound of a river, I want it like to follow me, so I don't have to like put many sounds.
Sure.
And they're like, okay, we can fix that, and then they hand me something, and that's basically I come and bother the programmers like, I need this feature implemented. Can you do it? And they're like, put it on the list.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we call them the programmers.
The programmers, yeah, they're like these 2 guys are like blonde, beautiful looking guys like programming in their spare time.
That's awesome. Cool. We have a cool question too from Cubes, and they say, do you two end up inspiring each other? So do you, Brim, hear some of Viktor's music and get ideas for characters?
Well, yes. Well, basically, when we started to talk to each other before we started to date, he basically made music.
I made a super romantic gesture of making music to one of her pictures, and that's
Yeah.
how it worked.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love
And we
that.
also, it's also like because we're creative people, and like I personally, I want to make other stuff than just drawing. Like right now, because we're just at home, we're actually making a little comic.
Yeah, comic book.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, because we have so much spare time,
Sure.
and we're like, oh, we like to tell stories, so we're like, let's just do it now because we have nothing.
Quarantine for something.
Yeah. So we have we have always been doing something like that. We made an album that went out in February.
Yeah.
That was like a visual band, basically, that I drew the characters and made videos of the characters dancing.
That is sick.
And,
illustrations. Is that available for people to see?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can
okay, you guys should type it in the chat so that.
It's called. Type it in chat.
Yeah,
type it in the.
Type the link in the chat so that people can find it.
The link. All right, let me.
I can do it.
You can do it.
I see it.
No.
Oh, there! Someone already did.
Okay, cool. Lonely Arrow Girl on Spotify.
Yeah, you can find it both on Spotify and on YouTube. There's like videos of like illustrations, because I was like, I want to make illustration for every song. Yeah.
That's really cool. I like that a lot.
And then like it's been so many times we're like doing some projects like, hey, can you draw for me? Like, hey, can you make some music for this? Like, it's kind of back and forth.
Your graduation project from your bachelor, I actually did a watercolor illustration for it. So
nice.
We have always been like going back and forth. It's kind of I need creative people.
This relationship runs on creativity. When it runs out there, it's over.
It's done. But yeah, it's super fun. So yeah. Yes, the answer is big yes.
That's cool. I like that.
All right,
Oliver, I think you had a question.
Oh yeah, no, just because you're mentioning about the scoring thing, but Viktor, I recently watched your interview, and you're wearing some kind of
the wave ring, yeah.
Yeah, the ring. How does that just for the listeners, just how does that kind of work for me as well? I was very curious.
Actually, I'm gonna go get the ring. Give me half a second.
Awesome.
You're gonna get the ring?
Yes.
Okay, cool. he's gonna run and get the ring. I'm gonna put the link on YouTube.
Nice.
So.
Cool.
Yeah, so it sounds like you guys are like going ham with integrating new technology and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, like, this thing is genius. Like a small, it's a basic Bluetooth ring, but it's also a MIDI controller.
Okay.
So what it does is it has you can assign parameters to this thing and like control it with your arms. So it has like a tilt function, pan function, and like a roll function, and a bunch of other. So you can like control. For me, in example, like I have a violin like patch, like a violin instrument on my computer that I want to play. So I press a note, you get like, so I can control it like.
That's so cool.
Conduct the work. And the funny thing about this is Friðrik, the CEO of Myrkur Games, like bought this ring from like the original, like the guys who made it, called Genki Instruments. And because they were friends. And he handed it to me. It's like, hey, if you want to play with this at any time, just do it. I'm like, what is it? A Bluetooth MIDI controller. It's like, And then like 2 months later, I was like, sure, I'll pick it up and try it. And started using it. It's like, oh God, this works.
Yeah.
And I was so impressed because like you've heard of like these things before. It's like, yeah, it's you just use your arms or something, and it just never like actually goes anywhere. But this, I was so impressed because this actually worked. So I started using it like on a daily basis for a couple of months until the CEO sent like to the company like, hey, your composer has been using your ring for like a couple of months now without stopping. And so they got in contact with me. It's like, are you using it? Like, what are you using it for? I'm like, oh, composing like orchestral music.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, can we do an interview? And I'm like, you can.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I highly recommend a Genki instrument.
It is cool to hear that you guys are really implementing a lot of these different and new technologies. I think that's probably what is going to make you guys stand out, just in general, because a lot of people are a little bit hesitant to take the risks with implementing stuff that they've never used before. So that's pretty
It's
cool.
basically just a thing that you need to do when you're trying, like everyone at the company have this big dream that they want to make this game. So it's basically, if you want to do stuff, you need to
make it work.
Yeah. And just use everything that you have, basically. You can't be like, picking stuff out, being like, no, I just don't like 3D.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't work like that. If you want to do something that is that big, like a game, it's like you need to try stuff, basically.
That's awesome.
And hustle as much as you can.
Yes.
Speak to people. It helps.
Yes.
So have you guys done any conventions or anything like that with this game? Like, have you brought this game to?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we've only been to, like, there was a small convention here in Iceland that we've been to, but half of the game out to
Germany.
Gamescom and Germany and
nice.
Yeah, the Gamescom. There was what was it called in Germany that I went to? I can't remember. Like we didn't go because we were so new in the company, so we were just staying at home, be like, "You go, guys!"
Yeah.
And I know for a fact like that, especially like the CEO and the CEO have been like actively seeking out conventions.
Yeah, they have gone to like a few, like there was like a Nordic country thing, right? So it's like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, here it says Germany was Gamescom.
Gamescom, yes.
And then and there was a couple of other which I really can't remember, but
but
that was before our time as well. They also they had started like going to conventions before we started. So.
I see.
But we went to the one that was here in Iceland, and it was an interesting experience, like especially for me, because that was the first time that like we had this demo and people were playing it, the people you didn't know, and you're like, oh, this is like my work that I've been trying to put in the game, and seeing like people reacting to it, and some people breaking the game because there was this kid that loved breaking our game.
I loved that kid. He spent like 3 hours at our booth just playing it over and over again.
So it was an interesting experience. It's one of those things that you just need to don't be shy about showing your work, and don't be shy about it if it breaks too, because you're also learning stuff.
Yeah, there we go. They went to GDC and Slush. Like the CEO and CEO went to GDC and Slush.
That's Daði.
Yeah, so like the commenter now, that D. Einarsson is the director.
Oh, nice.
Lead writer.
That's awesome. So how many people are in the studio?
16 currently.
Yeah, 16 in-house. So then we have, then they have the actors, and then, there are some people that come in and come out, basically, because, so, but we're 16 that work there in-house, basically.
Okay. And what's your CEO, COO's experience previously in games, or is this the first game they've really made?
This is like the first like big game, but they have made a couple of smaller games. I don't know if they released them though. It's like it's this game is basically piggybacked off a school project, if I remember correctly.
I see.
So like they were like there were 3 guys called Halldór, Friðrik, Daniel, and like they were 3 buddies in a like so that it was like a final year project,
I think. Yes,
at a bachelor's degree of like programming, and they did like I think it was like making a video game in 2 weeks or something.
Sure.
And then they did that, and it's like, hey, we work okay together, we should continue.
Yeah.
And then we like founded like the VR company, and then that transitioned over to this company.
Yes.
Interesting. Cool.
It's basically a big dream that is still really big.
Yeah.
Somebody like said, I want to make video games, and then actually go and did it.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I like hearing those stories of like how the conception came to be, because as somebody that's making a game himself, it's like we're starting on a much smaller scale, but again, this is our first game, so it's interesting because you guys are dealing with mocap voice actors, 3D, like, and it looks like you guys are going pretty realistic as well, which so I guess that leads me to another question in terms of the process. So do you guys like have a rigger and a a high poly modeler, low poly? You guys have everybody to cover those bases, or is there one guy that's kind of handling it?
Actually.
Say it again.
We actually we have like Daniel is like the rigger and like the guy who does all the random stuff that falls on nobody else.
Okay.
And then we have like the 3D 3D modelers both like do high poly and low poly. I think.
We have like 2 character artists that both do both. It's basically everyone does everything. It's so
interesting.
So heavy. And then we have 2 animators. One of the animators also makes the hair of the people. And then we have the environment artist that is also the art director. And then we have the
asset maker.
Then we have the level designer. Then we have the programmers, the music, and then the CEOs. It's like, so everyone has like a title, but the title is also kind of blurred through and mixed with everyone else because it's kind of, you need to work together basically.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
So yeah, and then we have 2 writers because we're making a story.
Yeah, we have one of them also is the, what do you say, like source of the story?
Yeah, we just call him the story guy.
Yeah.
He basically knows. Yeah.
But he also does a lot of writing on of the public posts and the letters and such.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the other writer who is also here in the chat who does so many things.
Yeah.
He's like the.
Oh yeah, the story guy is in the chat right now.
Yep.
Oh, there's the story guy.
Yes, we actually see the news. Yeah. No, that's company news actually. No, so and then we have Dade, which is the lead writer, and the director, and in charge of casting, and cameras in the cutscenes, and
That's awesome. I mean, it sounds like you guys are really covering all your bases, and everybody knows what everybody else is doing, so to speak, and that's good. I see a lot of more indie projects that, it just kind of sounds like a big mess, but I'm sure it's still a big mess in a good way. But at least everybody's kind of tight knit, like you guys were saying. I think that's the most important thing.
The thing is, I talked to them about this because I was so surprised that they wanted me to work with them because I didn't really expect that I could have this experience that soon, because I was I'll maybe get a job in 5 years.
Sure.
Yeah. So but they talked about it. They really want to have people that can communicate and can work with the team. So it's not like they're just gonna let somebody in. It has to be a person that is open to this communication that needs to be happen, because if you don't have the communication, nothing is going to happen.
It's a collaborative effort.
So that's why I don't like when people the artist that locks themselves in the room and don't talk to anybody, because I'm the talking is one of the biggest things that you need to have, because if you don't talk to anybody,
you don't get any network.
You can't work with people, because especially working at a studio, you need to I need to go to the programmers and be ask them about the UI, and I need to be able to do that, and if I just lock myself in the room, I can't do it.
I really think though that whenever I approach the programmers, they see me as a gremlin, I need stuff from you.
That's really awesome, because I'm really grateful that you brought that up, because I do feel a lot of current students, they have that fear of coming out of their shell, and it's really timing, because we're actually doing our group project at university at the moment.
Yes, I heard about it. Yes.
So it's kind of interesting, and obviously there's I do think it's hugely for everyone out there who's new and coming in, really try and get out and like you say, socialize and not being such a bubble, because it will affect later on.
It's as well. It's usually artists are kind of introverted and just want to stay at home. I'm also like that, but it's it's just part of being alive. You need to talk to people, and also at school, I wouldn't if I was just at home doing my work for school, I wouldn't have met you. So it's kind of you never know what is going to happen in the future, and the people that you meet, they can mean so much to you later. Just, because like this business is kind of small. That's also the thing that I have realized when we're working at the company. The business isn't that big,
Sure.
It's kind of,
and so many people seem to know each other.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, we're talking to this guy. You know this guy, so he tells us to talk to that guy. Like,
Yeah, it's so it's kind of, you need to be part of the conversation, and you just talk to people basically.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah, would you have any tips for like kind of people who are kind of new? Like, is there, because for some people obviously it's harder if they haven't in that social art group. Do you have like any suggestions of maybe like art jams or groups that you can meet online, or artists that
Well, for me personally, like coming from a really small town on the countryside of Iceland, I didn't have anything like that. So, like, I was privileged enough that I was able to go to Canada and meet people in person. But then again, you also have the internet, and I also part of art school that Mark has on Cupid, so I'm talking to people online as well.
Yeah.
So like, taking part of these Discord groups, being part of like the YouTube community, because there's a community of artists on YouTube as well. So it's kind of like, like I'm like, my worst enemy is being like shy on the internet. I feel like I'm not shy in person, but I'm shy on the internet. I'm like I'm like in these like Discord groups and be like,
being on social media is hard.
But I feel like it's I don't know if it was like a tip or anything. It's just basically just do it. Like, don't take yourself too seriously, because like the people in the industry are also just people. I feel like some people get so like in their head, like, oh no, this person is like over this company, I can't speak to them. But I feel like it's better if you just go to them and talk to them like a person, rather than be like, hi, because I feel like the human connection is much better than being like idolizing the people, because like even though you can be like, oh, you're amazing artist, it's more like recognize them as a human being as well, because you can make friends, even though it's basically.
That's I just wanted to segue as well, because you said about online presence and media. Do you feel like there's been any struggle as like a female artist working in the kind of games? Like, do you feel like there needs to be a push
in video games in general, or just in like art in general? Because
maybe you can talk a bit about both, because I know you obviously in Canada, like for me, I think it was about 50-50 about females and males of artists going into like games or entertainment, but I'm not sure what your experience was like with
in Studio. I would say it was kind of like 65% male, and then the other percent was female. But in the industry itself, like the teachers, I think I only had male teachers. Yes. All my teachers were guys, and that's because they had worked in the industry for like 20 years, and that's how that industry worked back then. But now we're kind of trying to change that. But it's actually quite interesting to like see how different, like especially like also on social media, because I feel like females, like girls, have getting I don't know, the expectation, what they draw is different than from guys, because like if you see a girl drawing like a cool dragon, it's kind of like, what, this kind of feeling. So like I know that I kind of go into the general idea, like I like to draw females, so I draw a lot of females, but it's like it's like the expectation is kind of different, I feel like, if that makes sense, especially on social media. I don't it's a hard thing to think about though, because like at the studio that like at Myrkur, we want to have a female representation in the company, that have like they have a say, like especially like being, I'm the concept artist and the art director is also female. We like sometimes talk to the writers that are guys, and we're like, we need to have these people part of the conversation, because if it will only it will be like 4 guys, the game will be totally different, because the experience are different. And
that is interesting, having female's perspective, especially with a female character. I think a lot of games are written by men with female characters, and it kind of shows, honestly. So
especially we're always talking about, because we have characters in the game, and we're just kind of talking about the dynamics between the characters. Like, are we representing, that word is so hard to say, representing the character relationship, right? Because what's it called, the rule that's like, 2 girls can only just talk about the man, that thing. I can't remember what
but was like, it's like, this is the thing, like, if 2 female characters have a conversation that does not involve a man, they pass some sort of test. Like, it was for films mostly.
Yeah, but it's also like, if you think about it in the game,
the Bechdel test.
The Bechdel.
Yeah.
There you go. Like, we always have like sometimes at the studio we just have that hour that, like, me and the writers, we just talking about the game, and just trying to, like, this thought process. And like, we're like realizing, like, do we have 2 females talking about something that is not about a man, or something like that? Or do we have like this and
about
this
conquering the world? No.
Well, that's basically what they talk about. But I feel like it's so important to have this representation. I can't say that word.
Oh, you got it.
Just use your Icelandic accent for it.
Representing people.
No, so
yeah. Who is
same thing we do every night, Pinky. Good comment. No, so like, and I also know for a fact, like, a lot of times I know, like, Dale, the lead writer, he's super, like, keen on working with the actors as well. Like, the actors come in and, like, they talk it through, and they fix, like, on the spot, like, if no, this is like, this will be better like this, and it's just, I really like, I like watching how that works out, because, like, makes, at least I feel, I'm recording these guys, so, like, I know, like, it makes the actors feel, like, more comfortable, and, like, have, like, more, like, I don't know, say, I guess. So like, it's like, the attitude is not, no, I wrote this, do it. It's more like, we're making something here.
Yeah.
Which is,
it sounds like the studio is really big on allowing everybody to have a bit of creative freedom to a certain extent, if it's in favor of the project. And I think that's very important, because especially with the bigger corporate-y kind of studios, it's like you were kind of saying, like, everybody has their own specific job and they just need to do that well. So it's really cool to hear that you guys are having that input on some of the story aspects, or at least, like, helping generate ideas. I think that's going to make a final result that feels a lot more intimate, and it feels a lot more like you guys than just something generic, So.
That's why, like, I was really surprised when I started working there, that, like, my voice was getting heard, because, like, especially going there as an intern, I just thought, like, I would just draw, like, someone would come to me and be like, draw this, and I'm like, yes.
No opinion from you.
Yeah, but then they were like, they started to ask me, like, at the meetings, they were like, what's your opinion about this? And I'm like, what?
I think that's a learning process in itself as well. It's just like we were kind of talking before, like, knowing how to speak to people. Like, when you're blasted with a question, like, what do you think about this? And it's an important decision. Like, you have to be able to talk about your art and talk about your feelings when it comes to the project. So, not only being able to network, but being able to talk about your own thing is, I think, just as important.
Right. I feel like it's
just laughing at the comments.
Yeah, so many friends watching. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the writers. Oh,
we're real hard asses. Don't let them lie to you like that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, they're actually here behind the door, waiting. Like.
But
That's awesome.
I also just feel like everyone is so open to the criticism. Like, no one is like being butthurt if someone come up and say like, this is kind of weird how this is a thing, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it's kind of like having this atmosphere of people can say their opinion about stuff and not be mean and butthurt about stuff, basically.
Yeah, as like delivering constructive criticism is also very important. Like knowing how to be like, this doesn't really fit with the idea of the project, so maybe you should consider changing it, kind of thing.
I think it's really funny. One of the writers are writing here that I always make fun of him that he's not critiquing my work hard enough because because he's not an artist, and he's like, yeah, this looks good, and I'm like, dude, the perspective is shit.
Yeah, sometimes having a non-artist critique your work is better because then they point out this thing that nobody else would point out.
Yeah, and he's always like, why are you asking me? I'm like, dude, you are one of the writers. I want to know if this character is being represented like you wanted to. And he's like, all right, yeah, that's cool.
I still feel like I'm the worst guy to ask about like perspective and stuff. Like, does this feel right to you? And I'm like, I think so. Something feels off, maybe.
Yeah, that's like my wife.
Sometimes they really help.
Yeah, my wife usually, if I ask her for critique, she's like, I don't know what it is about it, but something is not right. And then I gotta like put on my magnifying glass, like.
Yeah, and then you change this one thing, and then like, is it okay now?
Yeah.
No, you just made it worse.
Yeah, and I'm like, no. So it's really fun, like to figure this stuff out.
That's awesome.
I think also like a big part of this how people are open to criticism is because we're all kind of on the same level. I mean, like the gap between like the most inexperienced and the experienced isn't large, basically.
Well, I still feel like I'm the student there, so you talk about for yourself.
I have a master's degree. No, so basically like I feel like everybody comes in there like, okay, we're gonna make a video game studio in Iceland, and everybody's like, okay, let's make this work.
Yeah.
So it's not like somebody comes in like, this is how we're gonna do it. This is how it's always been done, and this is like what we're gonna do. It's like, okay, any ideas?
I feel like that's the part of the good thing though, because we're new into this. We're doing stuff differently, so it's getting like, if stuff goes well, it could be like a game that was made a little bit differently than other games. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's really good that indie studios are being like, there's so many like indie games being made that are changing the industry because they're not going, with the basic formula that the big studios have been doing for many years. So.
Because the markets are really changing. I feel like the mobile and app industry are doing almost far better. Like, and I think that's gonna change as well quite a lot. Because I people on apps, like mobile games and that kind of more indie stuff. And I think it's great that the studio you're working at is more kind of narrative, like they're taking a narrative push. Because I feel like films and games are like, they're more and more slowly trying to kind of mix it.
Yeah,
it's just great for storytelling as well. So but yeah, coming backtracking a bit, but like in terms of internship, because I'm just being wary of time as well.
Oh yeah. We've been talking a lot.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
Two persons here, so double speaking time.
Just getting around to internship, because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering like how that process went for you, and because I know like even for myself it's been quite challenging when to actually like start and when, like what was the process for you like that?
Like for me personally, like right when I like finished that Sin Studio, I started to look at companies and just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And Teesside was like, the Teesside University was basically a place that I wanted to just get to know more people and get better at art and everything. But it was also, to have the time to apply for internships, because I don't like the mentality that like in 3 years, then I'm gonna do it, because like I had this experience at Sin Studio that, you know, just start doing stuff, then stuff will happen, basically. Like it will take time. Like I feel like I'm incredibly lucky because like I knew Victor, he knew the people, I knew some of the people. So that's kind of just snowballed into a thing. But it's really important to be sending emails, be applying to stuff, you know, not be shy about showing your work, go to every like networking event that you have and just be like, can you please look at my work? Basically.
I can also give probably the biggest tip of getting a job or an internship or something. When you send that first email, try to make it so that you don't have to send another, if that makes sense. So like, make your pitch. Don't send, like, I've seen too many like emails coming like, hey, is it okay if I send you this thing? Which I, like, the first time I did that, like every time I said, no, yeah, well, maybe just send us something, and then they don't look at it again.
Yeah.
So like, do some research, chat with somebody before sending something, and just like go all
send
in.
it.
Yeah, like send, and, like send something concrete. Like try to do something that like they would like.
Like, because for you were talking to Dade and you got this little insider for the company.
Yeah.
And then you just sent of the music. So it's basically they didn't ask for the music. He basically just did it. And I made little doodles. That was, you know.
I think the lesson there is to basically like show your value to the company. And
yeah.
be like you're kind of being like, here's why you should want me, as opposed to like, why do I want this job, kind of thing.
Exactly.
That's true. That's like,
because they said to you that it didn't want
like
music.
And you're like, no.
Like, you need this. You need it. And like, and then you can see when I started to work there was a lot of stuff that got changed, because I remember when I started to work there, they were like, oh shit, we're getting faster because, you know, we have a concept artist that concepting with us. So the 3D, like especially the character modeler, they were like, oh, I don't need to figure out in ZBrush.
Yeah.
So
concept art in ZBrush, that's
So it's fun to see, you know, if you just show them that you're valuable, you know,
let's face it.
Yeah, one of your people said we legit get a job application every day. So I think that goes to show too, even though you guys are a really small studio, like there's always people wanting jobs. So if you yourself are trying to get a job, like be hungry and, you know, really go for it. Yes. So I think that's very inspiring.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, leading on to that, so do you feel like because I'm sure everyone wants to know that kind of degree question, whether if it is like, do you feel like because obviously you've taken that year out from the second year, so do you feel like you want to come back to education, or do you feel like you just want to stay on the company? And I know it's a bit of a long-winded question, but
so like I've thought about this for a while, because especially like my mom is always like, oh, having a degree will get you, you know, more stuff. Basically, you will get paid more, people will respect you more, and everything like that. But she is like a teacher, so like I was always trying to tell her that the art industry is a little bit different, because it's such a new thing. Like schools for concept art didn't really, you know, they didn't really exist for, you know.
Yeah.
So for me personally, now that I had this experience, I've been thinking like, should I go back to Teesside and finish my degree, or should I stay at the job that I have, because I already got a green light that I can stay there with them and not be an intern anymore, which is a huge thing that I didn't even think that I would get the job like at 23. I was like, oh, maybe when I'm 30.
Let me just really quickly give my 2 cents and take what people say with a grain of salt, but you're going to get a lot more future job opportunities by having a shipped game than having a degree.
That's what I also thought. I was like, if this game gets shipped, I at least have something that I can say that I made. Yeah. So, and I think I'm going to the conclusion that I'm gonna take a break from studying. Like, I'll still be studying at work. So like I'm still taking online classes and everything like that. but the degree was only to get a
Get the
visa for
job.
me personally.
Get
Yeah,
the
well,
visa. Interesting.
yeah, because I thought, because I'm from Iceland, and I was like, if I'm gonna work in Canada, for example, I need to have a
something,
degree
yeah.
to get a visa
Yeah,
to get a
Oliver
job.
was telling me about this, and I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm just not aware of that
Yeah.
here. I feel
Mhm.
like you don't need a degree to get a visa here
It
in the United
depends.
States.
I think it's if you're really fucking good.
No,
I'm cursing. I'm like,
I can tell you, like, I've been like searching through so many of the visa things, like, because I was originally going to go to the US to LA,
Okay.
like, after finishing my master's degree, and like the visa thing is like weird because, like, especially like for
Employee
artists, you can get
sponsor.
something called an I think it's 01 or 02 visa,
Mhm.
Okay.
which, like, you have to have certain things. You have to have like X amount of articles written about
Yeah.
you or something to show for it.
Mhm.
You have to have like, the more degrees you have, like if you have a bachelor and a master's and maybe a doctor, like it's always it increases the chances of you getting a visa
Mhm.
more. So it's like this weird kind of lottery, which like the more things you've done,
Mhm.
the more, like, the easier it is to get into the US to work.
Gotcha.
Unless there's a company that really, really wants you.
Yeah.
Yes. And the thing that I thought, like, with indie studios, they need this person because, like, they're a small company. So if I was applying for indie studios in the US and be like, I need to move there to work there, it would be harder for them than if it was, I don't know, Riot. But the chance of me working at Riot is really small. So that's why I was like, if I have a degree, like, it will be easier for me to just move there and hustle there and be like living in the city that I'm trying to hustle in and get a job there, rather than being in a different country and trying to make that jump. Because, like, it's really confusing. So I feel like I'm so lucky that I have this opportunity at home.
Yeah.
No visa needed.
No visa needed.
Yeah.
Like, I was born here. So,
Yeah.
and it's also for us it's interesting because we're from a small country where, like, the only big video game company here is CCP.
Yeah, it used to be like plain vanilla, I think it was, with the quiz app.
With the quiz app, yeah.
At the time.
But it's so, like, personal, at least for me, to be working at a studio at home, making a little bit of a difference, because like, Iceland has never made a game that is third person narrative fantasy. So it's really exciting to take part in it. It's kind of like it's so different. So I'm not used to be in this situation, basically, because I thought I would be like just at home, basically.
I know that sort of movement happened in Canada as well. That's why you see all those studios popping up there, because their government gave them incentive to basically start. So yeah, it is cool that you guys are a part of this movement in Iceland, and maybe in the future we'll hear about more cool studios popping up there.
I hope so.
There have been a lot, like in the last year or something. There actually been a bunch of smaller studios popping up here and there in Iceland. So
that's awesome. Let me just read through some of the comments from your people.
Our people.
I feel like we have like the crazy people.
We got the cult.
No, it's awesome. Ijama says, but in all seriousness, that's absolutely right. Speaking about your basically getting employed, it's the story for a lot of people at the company, including both of your guests and Daoi, who is Dave, who's here in chat with us. They showed us why we need them, so we hired them. And Technomania says in the USA you can get an employee sponsor thing, which you guys had talked about.
So that's something Iceland doesn't have, apparently. Like, a company cannot tell, like say, we want this guy from the US or like whatever, from outside of the European Economic Union. Like, we want this guy. Can he work for us? And then it's like, no, it has to go through channels first. You have to put up a advertisement for advertising the job before you can do that. So that's like a process. But in the US, they it's like, we want that one.
Yeah.
Give it to us.
Interesting.
Because each country, this is very different. Their process, so it can get very complicated. And now, obviously, because of the whole for European general, for the whole Brexit thing, I'm sure it will have a massive
like
Well,
the
Yeah, not to get too political, but it will have a massive effect on entertainment in general because it's like
Yeah.
we haven't
Yeah.
actually sorted the laws yet, and I can see that a lot of studios are looking for artists, and that's why I think there's a lot of companies popping up like here and there in general,
Yeah,
like smaller.
maybe
Yeah.
the unintended consequences of like the UK leaving the European Union like will be more of like local artists getting jobs.
Yes.
That's a possibility
Yeah.
actually. Like local UK artists getting.
like also going back to the question when I was thinking of going back to Teesside, it was like because of the
It's harder
Brexit.
now.
I was like, if I take a break, can I like
Can you even go
will
back?
Brexit? Yeah, like is Brexit gonna stop because you don't know what's gonna happen. Like it's so confusing. The political stuff is so confusing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we'll let the politicians figure that one
yeah,
out.
yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see where it leads because because I've applied like some places in Spain as well just to see what kind of companies
Yeah.
I know they've got connections with a lot of UK game studios, so it's very interesting how it all tie up back there as
Yes.
well. Yeah, we'll see.
It's all interesting to see how it will go. It's just like
Yeah.
you never know what's gonna happen in the future, basically. So why not send everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, the future is based on luck, but like you have to be able to take it
Capitalize on
when
it.
the luck.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, like because like a lot of these things are just like someday something will pop up that you can grab,
Yes.
but you have to grab it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's interesting about as well because did you guys have to because I have a friend in Canada that works, his contract ended, so he's also looking for somewhere else now, and he's not sure if he wants to work in Europe or wherever, but like did you like do you I'm not sure how if you're allowed to talk about this, but did you have to sign a contract within your studio company?
So what kind of sign?
Are you talking about like a non-compete or something like that?
Yeah, like kind of like if you had to have any NDAs or like any kind of like so is it like 6 months or 1 year they're hoping to keep you on, or is it just more kind of free at the moment?
It's I think we're allowed to talk about it.
If you guys are concerned
if the
about
comments start screaming, then we know we're not.
Yeah, let them because the one of the writers, they're more in the also the business side of the thing. So maybe he can answer in the comment and be like, yes, you can answer.
I have
a
the
hitman on the phone.
We don't have to.
So like I think I like what was the question actually? Like I feel like I
it's interesting because a lot of these studios, they will only take the bigger ones, especially they'll only have like very short contracts, so it's like 1 year, 2 years, like depending on your like how far you want to go. But obviously it's different for an indie game company. But
don't think we're bound to any like time frame actually.
No, we're not bound to any time frame. Yeah, he said no stretch. We can talk about it.
I think it would be the difference if you guys are employees or contractors, and it kind of sounds like you guys are actual employees, which means that you'd work until they don't need you to until something happened.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're a contractor, then you have like a set amount of time that you're working for something, and that's stipulated in your contract. But what I am interested in, though, speaking of that, and again, you don't have to say anything if you're not allowed, but like, do you guys have a non-compete clause? Like, are you guys allowed to work on side video game projects, or are you like only able to work on this as a video game?
I don't think we have any like non.
No, we don't have anything that like we have signed for that. No.
Okay.
Like,
interesting.
It might change in the future, but currently it's like it's also mostly like the industry in Iceland is so small. It's like there's so much like back and forth thing. Like, hey guys, we need help with this. Any ideas? Like, oh yeah, that thing. Like,
Gotcha.
So it's not like you're only us.
Yeah.
like if Iceland becomes the video game capital of Europe, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not likely though.
Yeah, I just know a lot of these bigger studios, they don't want you even working on like another indie project because I don't know, they're worried it might compete in some way. But
yeah, heard about that.
Ijama says, yeah, Viktor pretty much has it spot on.
Yeah, it's basically we can, you know, do freelance work, you know, not on work hours at the company.
Sure,
that would be like no.
Yeah.
But like at home, we can basically like that's like we can do our own stuff, and there will be no problem. It's like we're our own people as well outside of the work, so we don't have any contract being like, you know, we own you.
Sure.
We own you.
Yeah, I think it will be like you said, in bigger companies it would be completely different though. It's like I don't have the experience of working at a bigger company, but I can imagine that it's more, you know, because I remember when I went to Sin Studio, went to like a company visits and everything like that. It was much more,
it was on an NDA or something.
Yeah, just to, you know, walk past the people.
Oh wow.
But that was actually quite interesting because I also went alone. I talked to the art director at CCP, and I went there to see, and I didn't have to sign anything because.
Maybe for clarification, CCP is the company that makes EVE Online.
Yes.
For like anyone.
Interesting.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's just the culture here in Iceland is more, I don't know, relaxed. You know. Maybe that's one of the things.
What's the word for samráð? Like the illegal working together of the oil companies. Like maybe that's just like leaked into everything else. Everybody's working together. Like this non-compete thing. Like no.
Dinarson says, that's good. I've been worrying about my DICE side gig this whole time.
Collusion. Yeah, like maybe that's just ingrained in Icelandic culture, so we don't have like the non-compete because everybody's like no, like we had a couple of things like way back in the years, like people like oil companies decided not to have a competition between them and such dirty laundry things like that, but that's for another thing.
They say, CCP is really chill. I went there with my art school and we were like chatting with their artists really openly and looking at what they were working on. That's cool.
Yeah.
I've chatted also with a couple of like CCP programmers, and they're all just
like I stayed there for like 3 hours. I literally got to sit next to the concept artist and be like, wow. And then he was just, you know, giving me brushes and be like, look at this technique. I'm like, yeah, that's a cool technique.
I feel like you bring up a very interesting point, because I feel like that's really important to get actually schools and universities to actually see the studios.
Yes.
And what the companies are like. Obviously, it's very hard because there's a lot of non-disclosure stuff. But I do feel like because I don't know if you heard, but ILM recently trying to do more like workshops at Teesside.
Yes.
But I do feel for people to really get the feel of what it's like working in the studio, you won't know until you're actually really there. Like it would be nice if the studios can have an area at least where students can just have a look around and just see when they're not actually.
Yeah, because like I felt this at Teesside, because I remember at Teesside you actually get people to the school to talk to you, but you don't get to go to see their work, because I feel like that's more important to actually see the workspace and see how they work at the company, and or like I don't even know if it works if they are a freelancer, because that would be more personal, you know. But
we're all going to his home.
Yeah, that doesn't really work. But I feel like just to be able to see like how the company works, and like I remember going, you know, when I was there in Canada, just to, you know, see this big studio, walking to the different levels and see the different, you know, apartments, being like, here are these people, and be like.
I got a tour as well at like an animation company. They're called DHX, and it's really interesting because I feel like many of the art students, because I'm very lucky as well to get to what it's like to actually see how they group and how they manage. And I think it's really important because you won't know if that's the environment you would like if you don't know what they like. So I think it's I'm hoping they kind of cross that bridge soon, like in the years to come. Which because I do see that they're starting to realize that in the UK that they do need to have more of that bridge between students and professionals. So
I think that when there's a lot of money on the line and they're worried about people spoiling things, you know, that's why they have all of this sort of secrecy. So which I get. I get kind of both sides, but it's kind of like if somebody's investing in a product and the product gets spoiled, you know, just because they wanted students to kind of see the process, that's like, you know, you can obviously see like how that can mess things up.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's kind of like it's a complicated issue technically to get this bridge between the student and the working environment because you know you don't want to get the stuff spoiled, and it also it's like that's why I don't know if it works better when it's a smaller school because Sin Studio is such a smaller school. So I think we were just like 10 people that went. So they also had like a limit of people that was able to go because like especially at TSET, there are like so many people studying there. So you can't really be like, here are like 150 people, you know, go to the
crowding your halls.
Yeah, it's like that's not possible. So it's complicated.
It is like there was because there's so many projects they're working on, especially especially games and TV as well. So it's I guess I don't know. You'll see.
I think more studios coming into schools and talking more openly about the experience of being at a studio is probably a better approach. And
that's
we'll
what
see more of that.
has been doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
It just depends like what you're trying to get out of it. Like with me with the CCP, I just basically sent the art director an email. So I was like, can I just talk to you? Can I visit? So, you know, I don't know if that works better if you want to get like also just to get the communication, you know, going. It's just email studios, be like, you know, you don't have to be like I want a job now, please. You can also just be like can we just have a chat? Like I want to
honestly, yes, some of the best advice that has ever been given to me is just like somebody you respect, ask them if you can email them and ask them if you can buy them a coffee or something like that. And I actually did that with one of the owners of one of the bigger companies in Philly when I was there. And I was just like, hey, I think you guys are doing cool stuff. I'd like to meet you, you know? And he invited me and my business partner into his studio and kind of did like a little tour with us and really was cool about everything. So
I feel like it's because then you have the communication of I just want to like I'm curious. I'm like I want to just get to know you as a person rather than be like give me the job please, you know. So it's just like depends what you want to get out of the communication that you're trying to get out of the people that you're interested in. Is like do you want to get the job or do you just want to network basically? Do you just like to meet them because they make cool stuff, you know?
Like Dalia Innocent says here, like Viktor bought me a subway right there. I took him to lunch.
So.
It works.
It does. And having like a big portfolio, I don't want to call it a portfolio of people, but you know what I mean, like having a big network is always very beneficial. It's always going to open up doors. And I think a lot of people that aren't in yet don't really get that, and it's just it's very important. 5-star lunch at Subway.
Nice.
Cool. Well, I feel like we kind of asked the majority of the questions we wanted to ask. Did you have anything else, Oliver?
No, I was just about to say I think we covered the stuff that I really wanted to. Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have work to get back to and stuff like that. But I want to thank you so much for your time. It was really cool. I think this has been a really interesting and sort of diverse talk, and especially having a composer and an artist on, seeing how you guys work together. It's really interesting. All right. Oh man. So we get sometimes people submit for asking Art Bro to shout out an art tip. Brim, are you open to shouting out a random art tip?
Random art tip? Oh God, on the spot.
It can be anything.
Okay.
Anything having to do with concept art or working in the studio. If you can't think of one, Oliver and I can get it.
Like for me personally, it's just.
Are you supposed to shout it?
Am I supposed to? No.
You don't have to literally shout.
Well, like for me personally, my rule of thumb is basically, draw like every day and try to, like, with everything that you do, try to find something new that you haven't done before. Because I had the trouble when I was younger. I just wanted to draw the same thing over and over again. And then I realized, if you want to get better at art, you have to study. It's work, We can't just be, better at art just being like, wow.
Yeah.
But but my rule of thumb is basically like when you're drawing something, like if you make an illustration, for your school or something, try to figure something that I haven't tackled before, and have like, you can have like something that you used to, like if you're used to drawing characters, have like a character in that environment and try to figure out the connection and learn something with it as well. Because it's sometimes people think it's really hard to sit down and do a study of something that I've never done before. So having that reinsurance, the 10% of the thing at least, can help to figure out the other stuff. Because doing art, it all connects. So I feel like that's my art tip, I guess.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much again, guys. And thanks to everybody that's been watching. And we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Perfect.